that there are some areas that we've not mentioned that are perhaps burning issues when you talk about the National Association. What are some of the other areas? Of course, we could talk about technology in the classroom, but I think that it's almost useless to talk about that because we don't have money to pay the teachers, we don't have money to give students scholarships, and certainly we don't have money to buy, well, but seriously, let's look at those areas, because I think that those are some of the general kinds of complaints and things that we'll...
Well, one other area, I think, and we don't have enough money, is what I think what you said. The high-tech area, I think, is important today. This next year, for example, most schools in Tennessee, public schools again, will not have very much funds budgeted for equipment. Now, and technology has changed so rapidly that it's very important that we're able to replace the equipment. Not necessarily, equipment will become obsolete in most cases before it wears out. So it's important that we be able to replace the equipment in the laboratories and for our students are using this, and when they get out in the workplace, they'll have these where they're trained on the type of equipment that they'll use in the workplace. So that, to me, is a very critical area. And there was some effort in Tennessee for the last several years to replace what we call research and instructional equipment, and that's been a very good effort, and hopefully it will continue for the future. But that's, to me, is a very critical area.
Very good. Dean?
Well, I will say in this regard, though, we do not have state dollars that will be available for purchasing of equipment. We're certainly not going to be satisfied just to sit back and say, well, we'll let a year go by. I guess bad times bring out the best in many of us, and it makes us scurry around and try to find other sources. And the fact that there's such a shortage of dollars makes us look to private industry. We look to partnerships with companies that have this high technology equipment and are getting some sharing of equipment with them and have been very successful in this. And this is something that Tennessee and the nation has a tremendous network and a good partnership with industry. And the industry in this country contributes so much to education. It's so important to us. And in this year, when the tax dollars are short, both at the federal level and the state level, we'll be looking more and more for private givers and donors, you know, to help from our foundations, and then to public industry to help us. And they've always come through in the past. And I know now they're having a hard time as well. And that's another side to this whole issue. When the economy is down, we have a lot of students come back, we have less money, but then the folks that donate, you know, they cut back on their giving a lot of times because they're experiencing the same type of shortages and the same financial problems that we are in industry at this time. So, but again, it's not all bad. As I said, it just brings out the best in us. We look for better ways to do things, more efficient ways, and it's an opportunity, I think, that for our administrative staffs and faculty to work together. You know, generally you find us kind of in separate fields. We let the faculty take care of the classroom and let the administrators stay over in their offices. But at a time when we're having to deal with these drastic budget cuts, it's an opportunity for faculty and administrators to share and say, let's look at this and see together what we can come out with. So I think there's some positive things that will come from this, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because you know, it is, as I mentioned earlier about the impact of education on a student. It affects the economy, and so industry and private sector has a very much to invest into higher education, and I think that's very good. Yes.
Well, the cost of education, resource allocations, and other problems, all of these problems will be addressed by the General National Association. I think you've also, I had an opportunity to see a printout of some of the speakers that would participate, and I think Mr. Haney is also going to be there, and perhaps the two of you might be able to give me some information relative to some of the other participants that that will play an important part in this convention?
Well, Dr. Coe, who's president of Spelman College, will be also a speaker. There's also a lot of some individuals who are with colleges who are making presentations, as well as some vendors actually who are making presentations on how to save money or how new products, things like that. So there's quite an array of top names or well-known people, as well as some of your people, local people, and some of your people at the campus level who are working day to day on how to solve problems and how to resolve issues, and they'll be telling how they do it, and hopefully the other business officers can learn from that and take those tips home and apply them at their institution. So, a lot of conferences like this, you get a lot of good tips and good ideas at the coffee breaks and at different times during a meeting like this. Somebody will say, well, here's why I've got a problem, and how did you deal with it? And they say, well, I've come up with a solution. Here's what I did, and you take that home and apply it. And so there's a lot of information exchange in that manner, as well as just the formal kind of meetings.
Now, both of you working in the administrative area, do you find that you having more cooperation among your faculty in reference to some of the problems? I think we've mentioned that in the state of Tennessee, faculty has not been given a raise over the last year or so. Now, do you find that to be a problem? And being the person who is primarily in charge of the financing of an institution, how do you find that reaction to what you're doing?
As far as the salaries, of course, this year it was no raise for anyone, faculty, administrators, or support. So this going into 91, 92. Now, I think overall received this fairly well. I think there was a lot of publicity in Tennessee about the economic condition, and of course about the tax package, etc. And so I think many of the people, or most of the people, were aware of this, and that they would not be because it was well publicized. And so they've taken it, and we're going to work together, like Doris said, we're going to work together. We're going to try to accomplish what we can with the resources we have, and then with hopes that for too long we'll be able to give some raises and get those salaries up to where they should be.
I think Nashville has sort of promoted itself as being a tourist capital, and but I think the very fact that we can have such an organization here sort of represents that kind of effort. Now, what impact will this association have upon Nashville, period? I mean, what can we, in these hard economic times, what can we as citizens of Nashville and the surrounding area, what can we expect out of this meeting?
As far as economic
development.
Okay. Well, there's with probably 2,000 people attending the conference. It'll add a lot to the economy just initially, because a lot of participants will bring their families, and of course go to Opryland and go on their tours and spend their funds at different restaurants, etc., things of this nature. So I think economically it has a tremendous impact. The convention center at Opryland is one of the few sites that can house that size of convention, and so people come here from throughout the United States. A lot of them will return. So I think economically it's this type of conference has a tremendous impact on the economy of Nashville.
Very good.
Really, more than just for the days of the conference, which begins on a Sunday and goes through Wednesday generally. Many of these people have scheduled vacations to extend beyond the meeting, or they've come in a few days early. And so the impact of the conference will be anywhere from 7 to 10 days on the economy of Nashville. So it will be a tremendous boost and influx of dollars into this community. With the type, with the numbers of people that come to a conference like this, I believe there's only 6 or 8 cities in the United States that could host this meeting.
Now, where will this meeting be held next year? Has that already been announced?
I'm not sure.
It might be in the discussion stage.
Yeah, right.
But let me wind this up by thanking both of you for coming by and giving us that information today, and to wish you a very, very successful meeting, and hopefully some information can come out relative to how we might be able to create a situation for more dollars to go into education. But let me thank you for coming by and giving us that information this morning, and let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Good morning.